The courtroom smelled like old paper and smug confidence. My ex-wife, Danielle, sat across the aisle dressed like she was attending a gala, not a divorce proceeding. Beside her was her new husband, Travis, a man who used to internet my company, a man I mentored. He had that same plastic smirk he wore the day I caught them together. 3 years ago, I was building something legendary. My tech company, Pulseware, had gone from a scrappy two-man startup to a market disruptor in 5 years, valued at nearly $99 million. We were just weeks away from closing a sale that would change everything. Life was finally settling, at least I thought it was. I was working 16-hour days, traveling constantly, chasing a dream not just for myself but for the woman I loved. Danielle played the perfect partner, the Instagram wife. She was supportive, or so I believed, often telling me she understood why I had to miss dinners and anniversaries. Turns out, she wasn't just understanding, she was preoccupied with Travis, a mole I let into my circle. He had access to everything: my schedule, my calendar, and unfortunately, my wife. I found out the night I came home early from a canceled board meeting. The sound of laughter in the kitchen drew me in. I heard her voice first, then his. They didn't even have the decency to panic. They stood there in robes, mine, ironically holding wine glasses like they'd earned a toast. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," Danielle said, eyes moist but empty. "But Travis makes me feel seen." I didn't say a word. I didn't scream or punch him. I just walked away. Let them think they won. Fast forward 18 months, and now we're in court. Danielle's lawyer argued that she was entitled to half of the proceeds from the upcoming company sale, citing emotional support and joint lifestyle sacrifices. Travis had the audacity to whisper something into her ear, making her laugh during my cross-examination. They were sure they had me cornered. She was so confident, she didn't even hide it anymore. They assumed that while I was licking my wounds, she was winning the game, but they forgot something. I didn't get to where I was by being careless. The judge sifted through the documentation. I watched his brow raise at page 7, then again at page 12. I had filed my paperwork methodically, proof of Danielle's affair, copies of texts and voicemails, even surveillance footage from my own home that showed Travis entering while I was out of town on business trips. But more importantly, I had made a move neither of them anticipated. 6 months before filing for divorce, I transferred 82% of Pulseware's assets into a holding company registered under my sister's name. A legal move, completely above board, backed by airtight contracts and lawyered to death. When the sale finally closed, the money went not to my account but to Pulsetrust Holdings LLC. I was officially a salaried consultant for a company I no longer owned. The judge looked up. Danielle leaned forward, ready to gloat. "That's..." When he chuckled, "Mrs. Vance," he said, adjusting his glasses, "you're requesting 50% of marital assets from the Pulseware sale?" She nodded, full of artificial charm. "Yes, Your Honor. The company sold for $99 million. I believe I'm entitled to my share." The judge smirked. "I'd be inclined to agree if your husband had sold the company." Silence. "Excuse me." Danielle blinked. The judge turned the documents to face her attorney. "As you can see here, Mr. Vance transferred ownership of Pulseware 18 months ago, 3 months before you filed for divorce. At the time of sale, he was no longer the legal owner. He earned a consulting fee, which is clearly outlined here, and is the only income relevant for division." Danielle's mouth fell open. Travis leaned forward, whispering furiously, "But that's not possible." She finally choked. He ran that company. Yes, the judge agreed, but he didn't own it. I kept my face calm, my fingers folded neatly on the desk, but inside, I was on fire. Years of betrayal, of silence, of being the fool, they all dissolved into that single, perfect moment. Based on these findings, the judge continued, the court sees no substantial assets to divide beyond what has already been disclosed. Mrs. Vance will receive no portion of the Pulseware sale. Divorce finalized effective today. Case closed. Danielle shot up from her chair. "You can't do this to me. I gave you everything." "I was everything." Travis grabbed her arm, trying to calm her down, but she pulled away. The judge stood. "You were nothing but a name on a house deed. And now, not even that. Danielle turned to me, her eyes wet now for real. How could you do this? I stood slowly, straightening my tie. You once told me Travis made you feel seen, I said. Voice steady. I made sure the whole world would see this. I walked out of the courtroom with nothing but my car keys and my dignity. And that was more than enough, because they thought I lost. They thought I'd crumble, but in the end I didn't. Lose $99 million, she did.